Joseph Campbell once said, "Follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there are only walls." Finding Bliss is a show about people who are following their hearts and living authentically. Finding Bliss. Welcome back to Finding Bliss. I'm Lauren Agnelli. Today's guest is a lovely woman who lives in Chester. Her name is Margie Warner, and some of her students call her Miss Margie. And the name of her Bliss is Music with Margie. So welcome.
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks for having me.
Tell me all about the early years. Margie, the early years.
I've been singing since I can remember. I grew up in Ansonia, and my grandfather was a vaudeville banjo player, cowboy. So he used to take me around to all the senior centers when I was 4 years old, probably. Taught me how to yodel when I was 4, and take me around and entertain the seniors at the senior citizen homes. So I've been singing for a long time.
Marvelous. Now, I heard that your mother also had...
Yeah, my mother had a beautiful voice. She was trained operatically. She was the lead soprano for a German chorus in West Haven. And my father was musical as well, majored in music at UConn, but he was a drummer.
Ah.
So I have percussion in the family too.
Excellent. I know we've done some shows with you with Small Town Concert Series, and I mean I've seen you do your adult music as well. Right. But now the way that you found your bliss is very interestingly. I'm not sure how many years. Why don't you tell us more about when you went to school, right? You went to
I went to Berkeley College right? to major in business and fashion marketing and management, because I actually am an artist also. So I started out as a fashion illustrator and realized upon graduation I had a wonderful job offer from Butterick Patterns to illustrate the front of their patterns, but I didn't think I was ready to live in the city. Couldn't afford to live in the city, and you have to live in New York and work in New York with a degree like that. And I thought my minor was in business management. So why don't I lean on that and try to find some jobs in Connecticut with that. So I was in business for quite some time before I got into the children's music business, and that's a whole other story. Do you want to hear that?
Well, basically, it's fascinating because when you start your own business, having a background in business is very important. And I hear you're also quite good at marketing, that you had some of that in your background as well.
Yeah, it's the degree that I have is in marketing and management, and I needed that to start my own business. My husband helped me boost me in that direction by buying me a really good guitar and a sound system one year back in Christmas of 1996, and he said, this is it. You've got to do this. I had little ones at the time, and I was teaching children's music voluntarily. I had always done junior choirs, so since 1979 I was teaching junior choirs. But he actually was trying to tell me, no, you can make money doing this. You're very creative. You write your own kids' songs right now, but you're doing it voluntarily. Why don't you turn this into a business? And so that's what I did in 1997, January 97. Music with Margie was born.
Now, January of 97?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, haven't you been doing this like 2 decades or so?
Well, I've been a junior choir director and a cherub choir director since 1979.
Okay.
So I've been teaching kids music for a long, long time, but Music with Margie started in 97.
Okay, very good. Yeah, what else? Now, before that happened, I mean, what were some of the jobs that you had that maybe sort of steered you into the desire to be your own boss? Kind of thing. Let's look at some of the wrinkles in your professional career without being nasty, because of course you don't have a mean bone in your body.
Thank you.
So in an artful way, how can you describe these other things?
Well, it's funny you use the word artful too, because I tend to be very artistically flaky and creative, and I was trained by the state of Connecticut Preschool Services for the Blind in adapting regular curriculums to blind preschoolers. And it was a very fascinating job. And I was trained in mobility and And I was trained in even the way I speak to be able to describe spatially where a child would be, so they would understand, because a blind child wouldn't understand, well, behind you or in front of you or over here.
So what would you say
over
instead
here?
Of behind you? What would you say?
I would say, you know, walk forward until you get to the bookcase and feel for that bookcase.
Okay.
And that would be, you can't use terms like over here or over there. It was very interesting, and I was trained to modify so that everything was in a multisensory fashion. So everything in that preschool curriculum or that kindergarten curriculum she could or he could touch, feel, smell, everything. So when I moved into the public school system as a para for one specific child, I was able to redo the bulletin boards in a multisensory fashion so that they were all in 3D. And I wasn't allowed to use my music. And this particular student was very musical and also had a sensitivity to touch. So now you have a blind 5-year-old who isn't able to touch things very well, and that's hard. So this child learned musically very well, and when they restricted my ability to use music in teaching in the public school system, that is when I decided to start my own business. Because I also realized, I saw how my methods were working on the rest of the students in the classroom. And so I knew that music is good for all kids, not just special needs kids. So you could use it for everything. And so I started writing my own curriculum, and that's how Music with Margie was born.
Of course. Well, when I went to teacher school, which wasn't too long ago, it was one of the multiple intelligences where, you know, when you teach kids, it can be, you know, kinesthetically, with math, with music, with words. So, you know, it's always a really good musical intelligence to work with. And I'd have to say I also thank the public school system for turning me away from that kind of thing. Oh, man. Yeah, bureaucracy, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't realize the importance of arts in everything, in every subject. I mean, they've already proven how fine your math skills can become the more music you're exposed to. Your higher order thinking goes way, way up. Your literacy goes way, way up with music. And to me, literacy is the key to education. So.
And don't you think it also influences mood in a very positive way?
In a very positive way. Good point. Good point.
Because that's very important. Sometimes these kids are in bad moods, and you gotta like get them right out of it somehow.
Well, part of what I do in Music with Margie is to get them into their happy place.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm sort of famous for my magic wands. I have a whole arsenal of wands and gadgets, and I use them as Native American talking sticks. And so every month I have a new one, and we'll sit in a circle, and we're all connected, so there's no special person that stands out. We're all equal, and they all get to tell me one thing, but it's got to be a happy thought. So they're not allowed to talk about the boo-boos and, mommy yelled at them or their cat died or something. They have to stay in their happy place. And,
unless they're happy the cat died.
I love cats. I know you do. So they're not allowed to go there. And by doing that, it sets the mood for a wonderful music class, and I actually, long-term over the school year, watch them become positive thinkers and happy thinkers. And so it's important for me to incorporate how to keep kids in their happy zone into my teaching.
Now, I have seen you teaching at library type, library less programs, okay? Now, what do you think is the most blissful age for kids to be?
To me, it's 3 and 4. I love the preschool age. I work with kids of all ages, but boy, there's something magical about a 4-year-old. They still believe in magic. That's what's so wonderful. They haven't lost it. They haven't gotten cynical yet. And it's a beautiful time.
Now, isn't music magic, though?
It is. It works wonders. And I've always had the ability to remember many, many, many melodies. Lyrics I have a harder time with, but then I just change them. So I call it creative license.
Oh,
and so every once in a while I'll get a child that'll say, you know, Miss Margie, those aren't the words to that song. And I'll say, well, they're my words. So,
and then you said, you can do that too,
that's
right?
right, exactly. And I teach them how they can push the envelope too and change things and be creative. And actually last summer, my favorite summer program I ever did was about how to be creative. And the kids and their caregivers and I at the libraries all summer long started writing our own songs. It was fabulous.
Nice.
And taught them how to rhyme, and it was great.
Wow.
We had a good time.
Okay, so you're teaching them how to be creative and all that. It's something innate anyway, but sometimes people need a little push, right?
That's right.
Because people get like sort of, shy about it, inhibited.
To me, most of the kids are going to be shy. You'll only get 20% that'll be exuberant and sing and dance. And in my world, it's okay to be the shy one because they're still getting it.
Yeah.
So whether you're shy or exuberant, you're still taking it all in. And that's the key.
Oh, totally. And so what are the oldest age group that you work with at this
Well,
point?
I actually did a show in Middletown 2 weeks ago that were all middle school and high schoolers.
Wow.
So, but that's more of a folk music bent. So they were
Okay.
ESL. I felt like I was at the United Nations. It was fabulous.
Oh, nice.
They were all kids that were, ESL is English as a second language. And so I picked a lot of American folk songs that repeated a lot so they could learn them.
Well, I think we have to hear more about all this because it's pretty fascinating. So anyway, Finding Bliss with Margie Warner will be returning quite shortly after some PSAs.
Thank you.
Hey, what are you doing still sitting there? Come to the Great Park Pursuit. At Connecticut's beautiful state parks and forests, you can join in fun activities, like hiking and looking for wildlife. Look, a squirrel! Acorns! Doing cool stuff like playing games and flying kites. Whee! What are you waiting for? Catch the next adventure. Yay! I caught one! Visit NoChildLeftInside.org. I'll be looking for ya.
Public access television was created to provide a free speech forum, open to all on a first-come, first-served basis, without discrimination or favoritism based on content. Anyone can have their program aired on the public access channel. Public access belongs to you. Public access. Spread the word.
Welcome back to Finding Bliss. I'm Lauren Agnelli. Tonight's guest is Margie Warner, Music with Margie. So we've been talking and having a great old time here. Lots of laughs because Margie's like that. Now, I'm just wondering now, who are your mentors or inspirations? Can you think of some offhand?
Well, my earliest one would be my mom, definitely. I mean, at a very early age, I would come down into the kitchen in the morning and she'd be sitting there writing limericks, writing rhymes, and we would write poems together. And she would always drop everything and just play. And it's very important in my world, even today, that you play every day. And so she was probably the most important. But I've had teachers and things throughout the years too that really taught me how to be creative and take charge of your life. Not wait for. You can't just sit around and wait for happiness to come to you. You need to really go get it. And
well, you told me something really interesting earlier about making choices. So tell me about in your life making choices.
It just always seemed to work out, but I have a very deep faith that everything always works out in the end anyway. So, but I really think that part of my bliss is that I've always managed to make really good choices. And some people say, well, how could you say that? A lot of choices can't work out every single time. Well, they don't, but it's the attitude of how you look at it. You always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. So if plan A doesn't work out, you just go to plan B and have no regrets at all about anything. Just go for it.
That is inspiring. But now, there's a saying that I heard. It goes something like, well, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So that'd be plan A, B, or C. Maybe all of them.
I've even gotten up to F at some point. So.
Oh, yes. Lucky plan F.
Yeah, it's all about the journey. I've always just chalked it up to experience if something didn't work out, and laugh it off, not to take yourself too seriously.
Yeah. Well, you're a very emotional person. I can see where you laugh easily, you get angry easily, you cry easily, because it's kind of all
and then it's
on
all
the surface, and then it goes.
Yeah. And you let it go. That's another important thing. Just let it go. Don't hold on to bad stuff.
So I guess that in some way you've just talked about your philosophy. Right?
Yeah.
That would be your philosophy.
Yeah, I think so.
And how finding bliss is, kind of always there. It's always present.
Yeah, I've always been joyful. Even if you go on my website, you'll see that I describe my curriculum for preschool as a joy-based curriculum. It's just happy, and that's the way I like it. So, and I like to hope that I make a difference, a positive difference in the kids and their caregivers that come to me too, that they leave skipping away joyfully.
Well, yeah, there are so many people I see when you're out around town, kids who've grown up, and you remember them, but maybe they were too young to remember you, but you always say, oh, yeah, there's that kid, 15 years ago.
Well, I'll always remember them.
Blah, blah.
When I was trained by the state of Connecticut, I had to take a lot of developmental courses, and so I know that before age 5, it's very rare that you're going to remember who your preschool music teacher was. You just don't remember. There's a reason why the furthest you can go is, I remember my kindergarten teacher, because you won't remember. And yet sometimes there's a difference. I don't know if I've ever told you the story. A couple of months ago, I did a show at Middlesex College, and my guitar case is very distinctive looking.
Sure.
So I was done with the show, and I put the guitar out in the hallway, ducked into the ladies' room, came out, and there was a college young man with a beard standing there, obviously waiting for me. And he said, well, I know this is really random, but are you the same Margie who used to sing at my mom's daycare when I was little? And I remembered him. So it was very rare that he remembered me. And it was so wonderful because he pulled out his iPod and he said, I play the guitar now too. And I write my own songs. You want to hear them? And I was able to listen to how talented this young man turned out to be. He's got a major in music. He's transferring to California right now. And I went home and I thought, yes, I'm relevant.
Sure.
So that's how I like to look at it. I don't expect that they'll ever remember me, but once in a while, when they do and I find out about it, it's a great thing.
Yeah. Now, with remembering people, is it mostly remember the face and the vibe, but the names are hard to remember?
I always tell my students, I will never remember your names. Please don't expect me to. 500 kids a week for the last 13 years. It's very difficult, but I will always remember their face. And they'll grow up and get married and have kids of their own. Some of my former junior choir students, and I remember them. Always. So it's a wonderful life.
Yes, I think so. And I know that you give back to the community a lot. I mean, you're very involved in things like with your church and all around Chester and stuff. So,
well, you got to give back. It's not about you. It's always about something greater. Usually, there's always a greater need out there.
Oh, sure. And I mean, you're very good at getting people together. And you always have...
I'm a people person.
I think so. I mean, and you always have a big party in August, which is your pickin' party.
Yeah. It started out with about 6 or 7 friends that played guitar and banjo and mandolin, and it grew and grew and grew, and now just everybody knows. First Sunday in August at Margie's, we bring our instruments and play all day. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
It is.
So I call it my company picnic because it's just me. But I happen to surround myself with very talented friends. So.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of the Small Town Concert Series people have gotten to know you, and now they're coming too, which
Thanks
is very
to you.
nice. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Small Town Concerts.
It's a great series.
Yeah.
And it gave me an opportunity to sing grown-up music, because I rarely do, other than in church, because I sing in the church choir. But grown-up music, I don't get to sing too much. Secular music, so that was fun.
Well, you do it all well, so that's a good thing.
Thank you.
And I have to say, your two kids' music CDs are quite wonderful.
Thank you.
And they're all over the country and all over libraries everywhere, right?
Yes, they are. Mostly in Connecticut, but I do have some out on the West Coast, and even in Japan. I got an email from Japan, and all my music can be downloaded on iTunes too. So I get a lot of emails from people around the world that have downloaded a song or two and said, wow, I love this. Because I make my phone number and my email available on the website. So every once in a while I'll get a phone call, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice to get feedback. Absolutely. Anyway, I'm wondering about, so how would you define success?
When you smile more than you frown.
That's a good definition. I like it. It's pretty cool. And now, along the way on your journey, I know that you had a lot to gain, but what did you have to give up? Was there anything that you had to give up? Because usually when there's a gain, there's also something that has to give.
Wow, is there really?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I hear.
Such a wonderful
It's
life.
about balance, no?
It is about balance, but that balance is all about the choices that I
Sure.
talked about. And if you make your choices right, there's this wonderful balance. One of the things that I've had the hardest time with and had to learn with age and experience is to say no. So, because, boy, when you want to do everything, because I never wanted to be the person that sat in their rocking chair when they were 80 years old and say, oh, I had a chance to do that when I was 20 and I didn't. I really encourage my kids, my own children, too, that they've just got to grab it when it comes. Don't be that person that said I had a chance to do something and never did it. But when you have that philosophy in life, you tend to say yes way too much and end up with too much on your plate. So that's been my challenge the last 10 years, is to be very careful, make the choices that are good for me, don't say yes to everything, and that you can maintain that balance, and that keeps me sane.
So Bliss is about a balance as well, and about, making choices that you can live with that are the more palatable choices. And speaking of palatable, you had one saying that was always cute. It was something about dessert first.
Oh, always. Yeah, I really truly believe that's part of the play every day thing.
Yeah.
I believe we should all just have our dessert first, because you never know what happens tomorrow. So, you just have to live life to the fullest and have a good time. So.
Which you do. Now, you have family all over the country?
I do, all over the world. One of my favorite cousins, one of my kindred spirits, lives in Ireland, actually.
Oh, wow.
And she does what I do over in Ireland.
No kidding.
She does kids' music in Ireland. So when she comes out here to visit, we usually swap some songs.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's
Now,
wonderful.
I hear you also have a lot of family in Maine.
Yes, I do. So in a couple of years, I'll be retiring up there, semi-retire.
You'll never
like
retire.
Like
Come
my
on.
husband says, you can do what you do everywhere. So, but yeah, we will be leaving Chester in a couple of years. So. But I'll still be back to visit.
But you're going to have a fabulous new log cabin home.
Yes, yes.
Which I think is
we're
one of the
getting
most blissful
excited.
things that I could ever think of.
And
in the piney woods.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
piney woods.
Very nice.
Huge mosquitoes.
Oh, very nice. Little pets.
I just spent yes, it's the Maine state bird. So I just spent a week out there last week, and it was actually really great because I get a lot of writing done up there.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm unplugged. And I need to clear my head and be able to write new songs. And so I wrote a whole bunch of songs last week for the summer program while I was in Maine, and smelled the pine trees, and it was so beautiful just to wake up every morning and hear only birds and the bullfrogs in the pond.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of traffic. So
Sure.
even though people in New Haven would say, well, Chester, is blissful also, because if everything's relative. So and we came from New Haven.
But would you mind telling me the title of one or two of these new songs that you've written?
I had to write a show for Manchester Public Library is doing an ancient Egypt theme this summer. So that was my biggest challenge actually in my life, was to write preschool music on ancient Egypt.
Great.
So I wrote Scarabs for Cherubs and Crocodile in the Nile.
Very cool.
So those were my two big hits this
I can't
year.
wait to hear them. It sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to really stretch the creative juices for that one.
You can do it.
I did it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to sing it in front of a bunch of kids.
Well, you have to sing it for me after the show.
I will.
Because that'll be fun. So, let me see. Since finding your bliss, is there anything else that you dream of now that you can think of?
I just look forward to the next stage, building the home in Maine and continuing once we're settled, the pickin' parties. So I'll have my friends from Chester coming on up to Maine. It'll have to be a 3-day weekend though, because it's
There
a
you
6-hour drive.
So I'm sure you're going to get back to the community in Maine also.
Yes, but I'm going to take it easy this time. I'm
Yeah.
not going to volunteer so quickly because, like I said, it's all about making those choices and making that balance. And, sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed with the amount of stuff I have on my plate. So I'll probably go a little slower when I'm up in Maine.
Well, that's understandable. So at any rate, I have to figure out wrapping this up in our inimitable way, which is sometimes awkward, sometimes not. It's this bliss thing isn't perfection. We're not talking about finding perfection here, right?
No, like I
Never.
said, it's all about the journey. So we can wrap up this journey any way you want to.
Well, going to Clinton, that is a journey. Well, not much. It's like 20 miles, whatever. Yeah. We're Chesterites, by the way, you guys. So there you go. So at any rate, I'm so happy that Margie Warner could be here today. Music with Margie and other things too.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And we'll be seeing you around Cedar Lake, maybe in Chester.
Absolutely. One of my favorite places to be in the summertime.
And we'll be seeing you on your motorcycle.
That's right.
So, very good. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night. Hope you can be finding bliss yourselves. I'm sure you will. Come back next time. Lauren and Yelly with Finding Bliss.
Thanks, Laura.